name's Lisa Portal and I'm the host of the Slow Love podcast series, which has been created in conjunction with Contento. We talk about intimacy, dating apps, and how COVID-19 has affected intimacy in so many different ways. And today we have a pretty special guest on with us. We have Neel Kolhatkar, who is a very famous comedian here in Australia and I should say abroad as well. And he basically does these fantastic sketches around, which are quite anthropological in terms of looking at how people behave in different settings. And so we were particularly curious to chat to him about whether or not he feels that Australian men are duds. And this is a consistent theme that keeps coming out throughout interviews, that potentially Australian men aren't as romantic as their counterparts overseas. So we wanted to unpick this topic with him, as well as gather a bit of an understanding around how romantic he is, what his relationship status is, and where things are going for him at the moment during COVID-19. All right, so tell me a bit about your dating app experiences.
Look, I've been on it for since I've been 18. Basically, I grew up. Tinder's been around for 6, 7, 8 years now, and I've always had it. Haven't always used it. I go in phases of deleting it and then getting it back, which I think most people do. They get to a point where they get frustrated, and then it can be fun for them. Mm. So it's been probably the main, maybe not the main way I meet girls. It was been definitely like a major component as to how I'd organize dates and meet people, and I think that's just the normal case for many people nowadays.
Okay, and so you're Neel, this quite famous comedian in Australia. Tell me a bit about whether girls recognise you on Tinder and how they react when they see you there.
Yeah, sometimes they do, not always, and sometimes they don't even believe it's me, which I find quite amusing, because I'm like, well, why, if you're going to fake a profile, why me? Like, wouldn't you fake, I don't know, Chris Hemsworth or something? But it's quite flattering if they think that people would be faking my profile. It just varies. Some girls are just quite shocked, and they act a bit like fangirls. But most are pretty reasonable about it. They just acknowledge that they've seen some of my videos, and they're very complimentary, tell me that they like the videos. Usually once or twice I've had people saying they actually don't like my videos, but they do recognize me, which I found interesting. So it varies. But
okay.
Yeah, and not everyone recognizes me. Maybe, I don't know, 20% do. Not
okay. So have you ever heard that Sharon Stone got kicked off Bumble because they thought that she had a fake profile, but it was actually her legitimately trying to get a date, right?
That's so funny.
Nothing like that has ever happened to you before?
No, I haven't been kicked off yet. No. But like I did say, people do think it's fake sometimes.
Okay. And so now you're seeing someone, which is great. Is this someone that you met on Tinder or in real life?
Oh, it is actually. Yeah, we met on Tinder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, Neel, would you describe yourself as a romantic person?
Depends on the other person involved.
Okay.
I'd say I probably lie in the middle. I wouldn't say I'm a romantic, but I wouldn't say I don't have a romantic side either. I think now and again my romantic side comes out, but it's rare. It doesn't come out all the time.
Okay. And would you say you've been romantic in this relationship?
This is very new, so we've only been seeing each other maybe a month.
Okay.
So, well, it depends how you define romantic, I guess. I think I've been good so far. I don't think hasn't been any flowers or anything that you'd associate with, traditional romance as yet. We've gone on a few nice, cute dates.
Yeah.
So nothing too romantic yet. No.
Okay. And do you have like a go-to romantic move?
Well, being a comedian, creator, writer as well. I like writing notes.
Right.
I found in my previous relationships, I've doesn't happen often, but occasionally I'll write a nice love note and put a fair bit of effort into it as well. I think they're quite, I write them quite well. I like to think, at least. So I would say that's my go-to move. Yeah.
Great. So it's not like a love post-it or anything like that. There's a bit more thought that goes into it.
No, it's not just a post-it. No, I write a note. Yeah.
There's actually this really famous episode of Sex and the City where Carrie gets broken up with on a post-it note.
Oh, really?
I don't think you'd
Damn.
remember because we're generationally a bit different. So
No, but I'm actually look. I'm not going to lie. Sex and the City is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I haven't.
Is
I
that
can't
right?
say I'm an avid fan, but the few episodes I have watched, I really liked it. It was
Okay.
fun.
And do you have like a favorite in the mix? Are you a Carrie or are you a Miranda or a Samantha or?
I like observing. I don't necessarily identify with any of the. I feel like I go through phases in my life where I'm more of a Carrie and then maybe more of a Samantha, but I can't say I'm one of them. No.
Okay. All right. So Neel, you probably don't know, but my research is around, dating apps and intimacy and how dating apps change intimacy.
Okay.
And I interview a whole heap of people around, their use of dating apps, and experts as well. And one of the things that keeps coming up recently, I mean, I had an interview with the CMO of OkCupid recently, and she was talking about trends in dating apps in Australia, is that, Australian men aren't particularly romantic and they're kind of like romantic duds. And I was interested to know your opinion on this.
Oh, well. That's a big generalization, first of all. I don't know if all Australian men aren't romantic. I suppose the stereotype is that they aren't the emotional type. They're not necessarily as passionate as maybe the Latin or European counterparts. And I think there's some truth in that.
Mm.
But I don't think all of them are duds. I think you could probably find some out there. And now with Australia being a bit more multicultural, you've probably got a better chance of finding someone a bit more romantic. But I think they might not be romantic, but they've probably got other assets. So I think Australian men are, on average, very handy, very outdoorsy, probably quite strong. Again, these are big generalizations here. So you lose out on the romance, but then you gain a few other things.
Okay. And do you think that certain ethnicities are more romantic than other ethnicities?
Again, I don't think everyone in a particular ethnicity is exactly the same, but there are probably trends or archetypes that have a certain truth to them. The stereotype is definitely, I don't know, like Spanish, European, and Latin men are the most romantic and passionate and seductive, whereas I've always joked about, well, Australian and Indian men not being particularly romantic. But again, that's a stereotype, so it obviously doesn't ring true for every single person in that ethnicity. But I'd imagine from my experiences and my observation, there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
So I do think you can make those broad generalizations. Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me a bit, your comedy is quite provocative in terms of, you do a bit of commentary around different ethnicities and women, and Karen, you're a big fan of Karen. So tell me a bit about that. Do you get any flack about generalizing, or where are you at with it?
Yeah, you get a bit of criticism nowadays with social media. Anyone can send a message to you or make a comment. So yeah, there's always some criticism that's going to come with my profession, but
Yeah.
it's just part of what I do, and
Mm.
I take it on board. If it's constructive criticism, I obviously take it on board. Sometimes it's hard to sift through what is constructive criticism and what is just trolling.
Yeah.
I try to analyze it as much as possible and take on board what I deem to be constructive criticism, and disregard what is just dismissive or negative for no
Mm.
apparent reason. So it's something I do experience, but like I said, it's part of being online.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite character in your mix?
Again, that changes. Right now, I actually see. I started doing a Karen character, but then I don't think she was as she wasn't her age range wasn't really appropriate for being a Karen, so I changed her
Right.
name to Margaret. She's
Right.
quite a
Okay.
posh, you know,
Yes.
upper class woman. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She's very eloquent. So I'm enjoying doing that character at the moment. I've done a few sketches recently with her, so
Yeah.
she's my favorite right now. But it changes every couple of months. I get a new character that I really like.
Okay. And I kind of like this shift towards Margaret, right? Because Karen was a little bit done, and Margaret does feel very Australian almost.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That was my big reason why I changed it as well. I just feel like, yeah, so many other people are talking about Karens, and the whole Karen meme is just, it's been done to death now. So I
Yeah.
thought I can still keep elements of that kind of annoying disciplinarian. I wouldn't say disciplinarian, just um, entitled, self-righteous Karen character, but adapted a little bit more to an even older generation. So
Mm.
maybe more of a boomer Karen, or even old. I mean, could even be probably not silent generation, but I
Yeah.
think Margaret's probably about maybe 70 or like
Right.
late 60s, so she's a bit
I love
older
it.
than the average Karen.
I love the glasses you wear when you do Margaret as well.
Thank you. They started off with just the 3D glasses, and then I actually got some fake ones. Yeah.
And so tell me, you also do a lot of different sketches around different areas in Sydney. And we
Yeah.
were chatting before we started recording about how we're kind of from similar places in Sydney, but not really. So I'm
Yeah.
from the Sutherland Shire, and I'm a little bit embarrassed of that, so I rarely admit to it. And you are from the St. George area.
Yeah, I grew up in Hurstville, and then Cogra, Monterey, Ramsgate area. So yeah, they look neighbouring districts, but there's a big rivalry there. So
There is.
people from the St George area don't like being associated with people from the Shire. Um, so they're on the same train line and they're near each other, but definitely two very separate, very different areas.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell me, do you think the different suburbs, because a lot of your work is around different suburbs and different types of people,
Yeah.
and it's so true, because like Sydney and also Melbourne is very tribal, right? So do
Hmm.
you think there are different ways that, for example, someone from Cronulla might express their love to someone from the St. George or Hurstville area?
Hmm. No, that's really interesting. I've never thought. I know there are definitely differences between the sort of average person from each of these areas, but I've never really thought or sort of conceptualized how they might express their love differently. I think that's really interesting. I suppose the average bloke from Cronulla might, take a girl out to Northies. I don't even, is Northies even a thing anymore? Did it change?
I think it's still there.
It's
I
still
think it's an
there? Okay.
institution, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I heard that they might have changed their name, but maybe not then.
I don't go down there very often. I've distanced myself. I'm probably going to get
You're
trolled
done.
around saying this. P.S.
So yeah, the Cronulla guy might have a few drinks at Northies in the afternoon, but then maybe go for a stroll along the beach. Whereas, what would the guy from St George area do? there's not a lot of good places to go out in the St George area, I found. So generally, people will go to the city. There's some good restaurants. There's hardly any bars or any. Oh, there's Oatley Pub. That's it. But
All right.
I'm sick of that. Everyone when they turn 18, they go there, and then you get over it after a while. So I don't know what a guy from the St George. There's so many different ethnicities and even people from different religious backgrounds in the St George area. So who knows? They could be going on 1 or 2 dates, then asking for marriage. But we don't.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
The single ladies should be moving to St George, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think they'll get more of a variety in St George.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be a good variety, but it'll definitely be more of a variety.
Okay. And what about, we've got a few listeners in Melbourne as well. What about some vibes from, what do you think around, like, for example, someone from Toorak versus a lover in Frankston?
Yeah, well, the Toorak is obviously going to, first of all, wear something very fancy and, show off the status. You have to if you're from Toorak. I'm sure the bill would be quite expensive. Definitely more expensive than the one in Frankston. Probably for hell, even for me. So I can't imagine the Toorak date would be at a bar or it might be at a bar, it'd be at a cocktail bar, something a bit fancier. Whereas Frankston, it's probably, straight to the local. Might even skip that straight, just come over straight away. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Frankston, maybe not a location for the ladies, more Toorak, I think.
Yeah, if you want to be wined and dined, I'd guess Toorak would be a better place for that.
The location. And just a final question, Neel. What about Margaret? How do you think Margaret is in love?
Well, no, she's had a few. She's actually had a few husbands. I think she's up to her fourth, so she doesn't mess around. She's very assertive. She knows what she wants and she goes for it. So she wears the pants. Right. I'd imagine she might even make the first move, or she at least makes it very obvious that she's interested. And I think she likes a range of men, so she might have, gone from a high-flying corporate, richer gentleman to I think now she's dating a tradie who's actually a bit younger than her. So she's.
I'm shocked by this.
Yeah, she wants a manly man now.
Okay,
and
a tradie for the ladies.
She's a bit of a cougar. Her husband's a bit younger than her, so she gets a bit frustrated sometimes because. He seems a bit immature, but she also likes that. Well, because he's a bit younger, he's got a bit more energy. So, she could write, well, not just a book. She could write a whole series of books, from her experiences. So
maybe she's a writer. Maybe she does romance novels on the side.
Oh, I think she definitely has a diary.
Yeah.
She has a journal that she's been writing in that for decades, and she doesn't hold back. She writes very well. She's got a great vocabulary. I'd imagine she is interested in her. She likes her romance and she likes her adventure. Maybe not so much now. When she was a bit younger, she liked her adventures. She's quite adventurous. Right. She went for not the bad boy, but just probably the man who seemed more fun, seemed a bit more exciting. Might don't know if he's going to fly off to Europe the next day, and if he's going to bring her along, as opposed to the steady, stable man. But then as she's gotten older, I think she's gravitated more towards stability and comfort.
Okay, I
got a whole backstory to her love life.
I love it. I feel like there could be some ex-politicians in the mix too.
Oh yeah, she doesn't mess around. She could probably bring down some careers.
I agree.
I think she's had a few flings with many married men, and she holds her tongue. But she could let that out one day. You never know.
A tell-all.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So I'm fascinated by this Margaret character. I just absolutely love her. I feel like maybe in her youth she was like off in India on an ashram, maybe a bit eat, pray, love sort of thing back in the day.
Definitely.
And, yeah. But look, thank you so much, Neel. Now, can I just to close things off? Yeah. What is your you're in a new relationship? Yeah. Super successful from a comedian perspective. What is your top tip for readers who are listeners who are looking for love?
For looking for like a long-term relationship, or looking for?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first you got to find. It sounds very cliche, but find yourself. Know who you are, the sort of things you want, and where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years. And then as you start to find more things out about yourself and understand yourself a bit better, then I think just automatically you get a better gauge of who would complement that, what sort of a person would be ideal for you, where you might meet them, and then you attract what you... Sounds like I'm, like a spiritual guru or whatever here.
Totally.
But, no, you just manifest these sorts of things, and I think they come. So I think it really does come down to looking into yourself first and understanding what you want out of a long-term relationship, what you want out of love, romantic love, and then that will give you more insight into what you should do.
Fantastic. That was like very guru-esque, I must say. Yeah.
Well, I've got the long hair and I don't have it out right now, but I should.
It would have suited completely.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time, Neel.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks so much, Neel. That was such a fantastic session, and there was so much in it in terms of, what are Australian men duds? Perhaps that's a little bit of a generalization as such, but, what does romantic look like? And we particularly like the topic around or the theme that Neel raised in terms of the writing of tiny love letters as well, which was incredibly romantic. So thank you so much, Neel. Hope you got something out of the session. This is the Slow Love podcast series. I'm Lisa Porterland, the host. This is produced in conjunction with Contento. And if you're enjoying our podcast series, please follow us on our social channels on Instagram and Facebook at Slow Love Stories, and take a look at our website www.slowlove.net, and throw us a like if you so feel.